Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Big Apple Hockey. It is a huge episode because we're going to be talking about the Stanley Cup Finals today. Sorry, guys. It's not with the blue shirts in there, but sorry. Where is it? There's the mute button. All right. I had to make sure I had another window open, so I could actually see your results of the poll. Getting back to us. I of course am. Come on, yeah, freaking bastard. I of course am Marc Williams, and I'm joined by the man, the myth, the legend, the one and only Mr. Anthony LaRocco.
The Lightning can't possibly win 3 in a row, can they? I mean, can they?
This team looks like they can. I will say that. So we have so much to break down. We're going to break down a lot for you. There was also a lot of hockey news last night, Anthony, especially coming in late. I sent some to our group chat, and Kevin Weeks, man, does that guy have a great thing where he just reports from anywhere?
He's becoming one of the better insiders in the league.
Yeah, and good for him. Kevin Weeks is a great guy. By the way, you can see my breakdown of this series at bigapplehockeypodcast.com. We're going to have lots of articles this year, including the teams and their season reviews and season previews when it comes up. But we got the Colorado Avalanche versus the Tampa Bay Lightning starting tonight at 8 o'clock. And first things first, you got to look at those stars. And obviously, we watched 6 games. You know him well. Nikita Kucherov, just amazing in the playoffs. Those are actually his numbers before the Eastern Conference Finals. Oops. And
you're off the game, Mark.
He's actually got 23 points now. So my bad. And I got to tell you, Ant, I'm looking forward as a hockey fan to seeing this guy, Nate MacKinnon, in the playoffs. And now he's got the Stanley Cup Finals. He has been a hell of a playoff player his entire career. Your thoughts on the Stars?
Well, they often say your best players got to be your best players. So you got to look for these guys to perform and really carry their teams. Nate MacKinnon, he skates, almost as good as McDavid. He kind of gallops up the ice, similar to Makar. He's very shifty. He's just an electric player. He makes something happen every time he touches the puck. So Victor Hedman and Ryan McDonough and company have their work cut out for him because he's hard to contain when he really gets that extra gear.
And especially when they end up pairing him with Mikko Rantanen, just one of the more underrated players, I believe, in the NHL.
Yep, he's great. The Avalanche got a lot of firepower. I know Kadri is going to be out to start the series, but even without him, Rantanen, MacKinnon, Landeskog, Burakovsky, Nikushkin, they got guys that could score. And then don't forget how much offense that they're dealing from the back end. They're really active. They really jump into the play and make it hard for the other team. So the Avalanche really have it all. The only area where Tampa Bay has the definitive edge is in goal, but that's really about it.
Yes. These two teams do match up very well. We're going to get to more of that defense right now because you look at their defense. And we're going to start with the Colorado Avalanche because we covered Tampa Bay for a little bit. Don't worry, Tampa Bay fans. We're going to get back to you in a second. But Cale Makar, what a playoffs this guy has had.
Yeah. I saw the other day about betting favorites to win the Conn Smythe. And Cale Makar at the moment had the best odds out of everybody that's playing in the final right now. So, he's been fantastic. I know much has been made during the regular season about his defensive game, but he's vastly improved in that area. And just with how well he skates, that helps him defend because he could skate with anybody. You saw it in the last series. He stuck with Connor McDavid.
Yeah, he's an excellent skater, and you got to wonder if it's a little bit that Colorado has sort of dress rehearsal for him with Adam Fox, who won the Norris over him last year. But it's just one of those things that he's just he skates like the wind, and he's got a bomb for a shot. I forgot what his goal totals were for the regular season, but man, that guy he just can do everything. And right now, Anthony's frozen. I'm going to just be quiet for 1 second to see if he is back. Not yet. We're going to get him back in 1 second. But by the way, the Tampa Bay Lightning right now in the poll, this is going to be a pretty even poll. Who do you got to win the Stanley Cup? Right now, Tampa Bay Lightning, 57% out of all of our votes. And it's going to be even more in a little bit. And we lost Anthony for a second. Oh, don't worry. We still have each other, right? So anyway, sorry, I'm also just slightly under the weather. I think I might have food poisoning from last night. That was fun. So I am playing a little bit injured at the moment. Let's go to the Lightning and let's go to Victor Hedman. Victor Hedman, I believe those stats are now updated, but 2 goals, 8 assists. He had an even rating so far with versus the Rangers in the East Conference Finals. You look at that Lightning D, and that Lightning D is excellent all the way through. You got Hedman, Ruta, Bogosian, and McDonough, and I mean, obviously Sergachev too, who had I believe he had a pair of goals. He had his first goal in 40 games. I was surprised about that. Shocked even. So we got Anthony back on. Or a black square. Yeah, there he is. There he is.
We're talking about how well Makar defends. He defended my Wi-Fi. He shut it right down. No, but as I was saying, I think Cale Makar has been fantastic. There's a reason he's the odds-on favorite to win the Conn Smythe right now.
Yeah, and food poisoning. Did you eat Jose, Jack, or Johnny Walker? No, I didn't. I didn't really drink that much last night. I'm still trying to figure out what it was. It hit me about 4:45 in the morning, and well, let's make sure I keep it G-rated for everybody. It just happened on both ends. But I mean, then you got Victor Hedman, who hasn't been really producing at the level offensively that Makar has. But I mean, Victor Hedman is also right up there as one of the best defensemen in the league.
Yeah, absolutely. He's always going to be in the conversation to win a Norris. Also skates really well for a big man. And, he's just a workhorse. I mean, he logs so many minutes. He's the anchor of the Lightning. Without him, their defense, beside McDonough, Sergachev becomes, maybe even sort of suspect. So, he really brings that whole group together. Yeah.
And it's amazing sometimes when you think about that Ryan McDonough as a second pairing defenseman for him, because he was always a really good defenseman with the Rangers, never broke through to elite, but he's one of those guys that you could just put him on an assignment and not have to worry about him whatsoever. There was a couple different times the Rangers got the best of him, but for the most part, he got the best of them. Moving on to the goalies, Anthony. We're going to talk about Vasilevsky in a minute, but we got to talk about Darcy Kemper and Pavel Francouz. These are Kemper's numbers. He brought his success from the desert in the regular season, but look at those numbers in the postseason. Your thoughts?
Well, it was determined he's the game one starter. Up until a couple hours ago, I wasn't sure if it was going to be Francouz or Kemper. It is Darcy Kemper. He got the job done in the regular season for sure. He just needs to really bring that type of regular season game in this series, because Tampa Bay is going to come at him hard. So, he's not a bad goalie. He's definitely I would say, a legit starter. It's just when you're staring down Vasilevsky on the other end of the ice, that could be a little intimidating. So Kemper's just got to keep himself composed and just give the Avalanche a chance to win. The Avs offense is pretty spectacular. So he doesn't have to be Andrei Vasilevsky for the Avalanche to have success. He just has to be good. He doesn't have to be excellent. He just has to be good. And that should be good.
Moving on. Yes, right there. Well, you mean, sorry, Darcy Kemper. Yeah, he just has to be good because, after all, the Avalanche got such a great amount of scoring, and they got depth scoring. They could score almost any single line. We're going to have those under the radar players for us coming up in a second, but it's one of those things. Just Kemper has always been the X factor, and he is able to steal a series. He did it when he was in the bubble with Arizona, and then he goes up against the Avalanche and gets smoked, but he would still like find a way to steal a game. But now he's playing for the Avalanche, so it's if the Avalanche can lock down their defense, then Kemper just has to stay on his angles, and he's really good with that. Then the next thing you only got to ask Darcy Kemper to do is be healthy, because Darcy Kemper is his health. That's the only hurdle for the rest of it for his entire career. I mean, it goes all the way back to when he was in Minnesota. But the headline of the playoffs, not necessarily the playoffs. I would say Kucherov has got a shot at it too. But Andrei Vasilevskiy, Anthony, just 12-5, 2.7 goals, 2.27 goals against average, 0.928 save percentage in the playoffs. He was unbelievable in Florida. He was good versus the Rangers. I didn't think he was unbelievable against the Rangers. I thought Tampa played better defense than he was goaltending, but he's still also Andrei Vasilevskiy. So that's the other thing about him. Go ahead.
Yeah, he shut the door when it mattered in that Rangers series. He was shaky in his first 2 games of the Garden, but then after that, they rattled off 4 straight wins. And listen, we've said it. He's easily the best money goalie in the NHL right now. If he keeps this type of performance up in elimination games and whatnot, eventually he's going to be considered the best money goalie of all time. That's where it's trending towards. That stat line I sent you guys, after the Lightning closed out the Rangers with his stats in an elimination game. It's video game. His goals against average was like 0.25. It's just shutouts in the last 6 of 7, I believe it was. So he's unbelievable. Clearly, like I said, he's the best goalie in this series. The Lightning are just going to have to defend against the Avalanche. That's what it comes down to, their defense going up against the high-octane Avs. But Vasilevskiy, he may not have best save percentage and numbers during the regular season. Both the New York goalies had better statistics than him. But in the playoffs, that's when it matters. So, if you want to be just, and I should say just because it's still really good, but if he's just like a 917 save percentage in the regular season, I mean, who cares if he's going to be what he is in the playoffs? So he's phenomenal.
And let's go into some of the players that a lot of people don't exactly talk about. Let's go to our under the radar players. And Anthony, let me get your Colorado Avalanche player that not a lot of people are mentioning.
Really pains me to say it, but Devon Toews, the Islanders.
By the way, more on him in a minute.
Parted with him, unfortunately. As you see there, he's got 13 points in 14 games, I believe, in the playoffs thus far. In the regular season, he had 57 points. He really started to break out his last year with the Islanders. You saw his offensive ability that he had, and he's a phenomenal skater. But since he's joined the Avs, he's become, dare I say, elite. I think it was the last game that the Avalanche closed out the Oilers. They interviewed Makar in the post game, and he brought up Toews and talked about how much of a godsend he's been to him and helping him grow. And they work really great as a pair. But Toews doesn't get enough credit. He skates really, really good as well. I mean, if it weren't for Makar, there aren't many defensemen who skate better, much better than him. So just unfortunately for him, he's paired next to Makar, so he's the second best skater there. But he does everything well, jumps up in the play, provides offense, can really stay with anybody. The Lightning have to make sure they don't lose sight of him either, because he could join the rush and hurt you from the back end as well.
I remember when he was playing with the Islanders, and he just looked like one of their most well-rounded defensemen. We're going to talk more about him and the New York Islanders in a minute, but I'm going to get to a different guy that Colorado acquired. Arturi Lekkinen has been everything that they've wanted him to be and more. He has just been phenomenal. 6 goals, 5 assists. You can see it right there. Last year, he scored the overtime winner to put Montreal in the Stanley Cup Finals against Tampa Bay. This year, he did it again. So it's just he's going to be one of those guys, sound defensively, grind it out. and he's got some offensive sniping abilities. So let's see about
he's
that.
a solid player. He's definitely a solid player.
Who do you got
RFA
for
too.
Tampa Bay?
What?
Who do you got for Tampa Bay?
Nick Paul.
Yeah. Go on.
Not gaudy numbers, but man, he really helped the Lightning kind of get formed back to that third line they had last year with Gaudreau, Gord, and Coleman. Nick Paul brings energy. He skates well. He's a big guy playing the penalty kill. He can chip in occasionally, and he brings energy. So I think he's been really good for the Lightning. He scored some key goals for them in the playoffs, albeit 2, but some of them were big. And, again, he plays in all situations and, could really play against another team's top line. So good acquisition for Julien Brisebois to get him at the deadline. But I look to him to be an important piece for the Lightning in trying to, contain the Avalanche.
And then on top of that, when they lost Brayden Point, Nick Paul slid up to the second line and filled in greatly for Brayden Point, obviously. And then Ross Colton filled in greatly for him. So, I mean, they just got guys that are just filling the holes everywhere. I'm going to go to his usual line mate because he's one of the guys that I think if he has a good series, it might be a quick series. And it's Brandon Hagel. He didn't exactly finish that great of the season with them. He's played well, but the Lightning aren't exactly asking him to be carrying the team or to be a 20-goal scorer like he was in Chicago. But he's got 1 goal and a goalie in this playoffs. He had the most enthusiastic empty netter of all time, the one he put at Madison Square Garden. But the one thing that Tampa is going to ask Hagel is do not give them a bagel. I've used that joke already twice, and I have to. It's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. Comment on how terrible that is. That's just awful. Admonish him. So, all right, Anthony, what's your key matchup to watch?
I mean, I would just say how the Avalanche can match up with the Lightning and try to get them away from Victor Hedman, because I think that as good as McDonough is, I think guys like Rantanen and MacKinnon can just wear him down. He's not the fastest skater anymore, and those guys bring a lot of speed. So because Hedman's rangy, he's long, has a long reach, and he can skate well. So it's not really the best of matchups for Nathan MacKinnon. But a guy like Ryan McDonough, I take MacKinnon, every day. So if they can get that matchup, I think the Avalanche will have some success.
What would be the matchup on the other side? A defenseman for Colorado versus Tampa Bay.
Kucherov versus Makar.
Yes, because that's the one you actually told me to put down yesterday.
Yeah.
All right, Kucherov versus Makar. Yeah, I mean, and that's going to be. Can you contain Kucherov? That's going to be it right there.
Well, if he could skate with and stay with Connor McDavid, he'll definitely be able to stay with Nikita Kucherov. There's no doubt about that.
Mine, I'm going to go with the 2 injured centers. And it sounds weird that I'm putting them as a matchup because they might end up being a matchup later in the series. But Brayden Point versus Nazem Kadri. Maybe not necessarily a matchup. Maybe it's when they return, each one of them, who can produce and who can produce more. We're going to be talking more about Nazem Kadri in a minute in the Bar Talk segment. And who's going to be at their top form? I've never had a broken thumb or even one put together by surgery. I haven't really had many surgeries in my life, thank God. But so I don't know how it feels. Sorry. Shit. I just activated the dog. All right. I'm gonna say the rest of this line. I don't know how it's gonna be when he holds a stick. Brayden Point, on the other hand, I've had an injured groin. That did not go well. So hopefully his lower body injury is fine now. Anthony.
Yeah, I think Brayden Point, don't get me wrong, Kadri's been great for Colorado, but I think Point's going to be a bigger addition to Tampa Bay because He could really drive play. And without Point, they just heavily rely on Kucherov and Stamkos. So Point coming back does a lot for Tampa Bay.
Yes. So the Avalanche will win if
Darcy Kemper just plays like he did in regular season. Because I have no doubt in my mind that Colorado has the defensive capability and they have the offensive explosiveness. It's just a matter of if Kemper can keep Tampa Bay at bay. And if he does, and if he could put up a .921 save percentage that he had in the regular season, I think the Avalanche will win.
I think it's my same advice that I gave the New York Rangers in the Eastern Conference Final. Keep your mental game there. The Lightning have been through this so many times that they're going to get their goals. And you know what? To Colorado's credit, they have answered the bell every single time so far. They have been Edmonton answering the game. They end up tying the game and going ahead. Look at game 4 in that series that Edmonton, they went up 4-2. Edmonton ends up tying it, going to overtime. Lekkinen doesn't even make them wait 2 minutes. The entire Nashville series, every time Nashville got any momentum, Colorado snuffed them out. And then the one good team, sorry, guys, it's the only way for me to just say this. The one good team that they played was the St. Louis Blues, and then they lost their starting goaltender, and they haven't looked bad for any game except for game 2 versus St. Louis. And by the way, Anthony, that goal that Nate MacKinnon scored in game 5, chef's kiss. That was such an amazing goal. And St. Louis answered the bell and came back and tied the game with 50 seconds remaining. So, Anthony, just adding a banner right there. I got to fix that. The Lightning will win this series if.
Well, with Brayden Point coming back, if the trio, the third line's reunited of Ross Colton, Nick Paul, and Brandon Hagel, if they could play the way that Gord, Goudreau, and Coleman did for the Lightning the prior 2 years, I think the Lightning will win because that just gives them a lot more depth. It gives them a speed and energy line that could keep up with another team's top line and also chip in offensively. I think that could be a determining factor for Tampa Bay winning.
And just the Lightning need to be the Lightning they were the last 4 games. They completely stifled the Rangers. And when they were in Madison Square Garden, the Rangers dictated the matchups. John Cooper, we're going to be talking more about John Cooper in a minute, but John Cooper just basically made the adjustments and the series was over. That guy, shout out to Hofstra alum John Cooper, but it's just the Rangers almost didn't have any answer. And the fact that the Rangers were in those games, I credit the Rangers, except for game 4. They really just did not have it in game 4. So to our predictions, we're going to go first with the man who's not here right now. Mr. John Falkowski says Lightning in 5. That is a bit bold. Bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see how it works out for him. Anthony, going to you.
Avalanche in 7.
And I have Lightning in 6. I think they are too close to history to let this happen. And Colorado is a hell of a good team. I just think they're too close to history. Pat Maroon seeking to be the first person to win 4 Stanley Cups since Anthony? New York Islanders. 4 straight Stanley Cups. That's what I should have said. My mistake. Since the New York Islanders players did.
Or will this be the first time since Marian Hossa, Corey Perry, with 3 straight losses in the finals?
3 straight losses in the finals. I mean, that's why if you can't beat them, you just join them. I want to get your reasoning. Why are you saying Avalanche at 7?
I just think overall, it looks like their year. They got everything in terms of the scoring. Their defense is incredible with the way they move up the ice and the pace of which they play at. And I just think Tampa Bay, not nearly as fast. And I think the only area they have them in is goal. But the Avalanche, I think could score against Vasilevsky. Their offense, they're that good. And Tampa is going to get tired as the series goes on. Listen, you make it to play, go to the finals 3 years in a row, that wears on you. The Avalanche are young, fresh, and hungry. I don't know. I just think the Avalanche are going to pull it out.
And you know what? They are loaded with talent, and it's not anything against the Lightning or even the Avalanche why we pick one over the other. These are really right now the two best teams in the league. They really are. And hopefully that we'll see other teams soon enough in the future that are right over there. So we want to know what you guys think. How many games you have for each team in the series? Right now we have a poll open. 47% are saying the Lightning now. So the Colorado Avalanche now have the lead on who you got to win the Stanley Cup. I wonder how many of them are Avs fans. We're going to get to all your comments after our bar talk segment. So don't forget also, by the way, everybody to got it right there. Like, share, and subscribe, and also hit that bell because those are very important. Those are all things that we need. So, Anthony, we're gonna head over to bar talk in a minute.
Okay.
There isn't anything like we need to talk about, right?
I don't think there is.
No,
I think
nothing
there is.
at all.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's go. We'll go on to the bar. We'll go on to the bar talk. Shoot, where's that idiot? That would be me.
Mark.
Don't worry about that, everybody.
What's up with your hair?
I'm gonna.
Sorry, what?
What's up with your hair?
On my hair?
Yeah.
My hair's,
the other hair.
I think it looks good. It's fine. It's camera ready.
The other hair.
The other hair. Oh my God! I'm a blonde.
Dude,
I didn't know I was like that.
Dude, you gotta get a manscaped.
Oh my goodness! All right. Well, first off, thank you for telling me. Thank you for telling me about that. We probably should have rehearsed this first, but well, I mean, how would I get a manscaped? I mean, are they like our partners or something now?
Yeah, I think you have a nice little link there.
Oh, all right. Is it where you go to manscaped.com, you put down BAH for Big Apple Hockey and get 20% off?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
That would explain why I have all this Manscaped stuff right behind me, guys. So.
I gotta tell you, it's fantastic. You never have to worry about, get one of those dreaded nips.
All right.
Painful.
I'm just gonna take care of this real quick.
Yeah.
There we go.
It's good stuff. I swear by it.
It is great. I just actually used mine the first time the other day. So I've always been like a guy that used the razor. Much more comfortable to do it like this. So
yeah,
there we go. So all right, guys, we're gonna go on to bar talk. And
I'm gonna take a shot on this one.
I'm gonna say beer. I'm buying everybody around on this. Oh my God.
I have to. We're probably gonna have to rehearse that again at some other point. But also, I do have to say that I do have to change the bar talk because obviously it's an old graphics and Philk is much thinner now. So that's another reason for us to do it. But everybody, welcome back to Big Apple Hockey Bar Talk, where we gauge our confidence on NHL topics based on our choice to drink. Are you so confident that you're buying everybody around? You just like so you'll take a beer, or man, I just need a shot. That's all I need. So, Anthony, we'll start with this one. And you know what? I'm going to stick with the wording on this. But the New York Rangers may have severed their relationship with Kaapo Kakko after the healthy scratch in Game 6.
Shot. Saw Drury's comments today at his media availability. He talked to Kakko. Talked about how, world-class player and still developing. They believe in him. And I think Kakko is not really, hugely offended by it. I think he understands. So, I mean, I don't think it should have happened. I mean, in favor of Dryden and Hunt. I mean, I get that, Kakko still hasn't produced offensively like everyone was expecting him to. But still, I mean, he's still better than better play than Dryden Hunt on his worst day. So I don't get it. But no, overall, I don't think this says sever the relationship at all. It's definitely a shot, 100%.
I want to agree with you. I'm going to go with Beer because I heard the way he found out was getting to the arena and seeing the lineup card. So that's one thing. He already went through it, but supposedly Gerard Gallant took him aside, talked to him about it, and he also said, I see him being here for a long time. He's a world-class talent. His comments too, because I think Gerard Gallant was trying to change things up. I don't agree with it. Hey, by the way, Manscaped, huge money saver, according to what Mike is saying. But it's one of those things that if you explain it to somebody, this was one out of a while, just communicate. That's what you have to do. It's important for every relationship, whether or not it's coach or player, husband, wife, me and my laptop. It's just how you have to get there. All right. This is the one that I smiled when I put this one down, but also it's going to be a sensible answer. Anthony, the Islanders gave up on Devon Taves too early.
Devon.
Or gave up on Devon Taves.
Devon.
All right, Devon Taves.
And no, this is easily a shot. They didn't give up. They didn't trade him because they were giving up on him. Like they thought that, he wasn't going to pan out or he wasn't going to fit. They traded him because of the cap. He was an RFA with arbitration eligibility. And due to their cap situation at the time, I think Lou feared that he might get awarded too much. And unfortunately, at that time, Nick Leddy still had 2 years left on his deal at 5.5. And I guess he felt that, he would have been harder to move and Taves had value and, he can get a couple of picks and recoup some assets. So that's why he was moved. They didn't give up on him. So it's a shot for sure.
I'm going to go shot as well. And I'm going to put it right over your face again. Sorry. But, it's amazing. That situation reminds me of something where he was an RFA. They were afraid of him getting awarded too much money. Good player, but they had other players in the pipeline, Noah Dobson specifically, that could end up filling his role. God, what does that remind me of? Oh, basically Pavel Buchnevich, except as a defenseman. And again, I wish these guys success elsewhere, but that's how, when you have to identify the guys you're going to go with, the Rangers did that. And going back to the Islanders did that. They didn't want to give up on Devon Taves. I agree with you on that 100%. Devon Taves is a hell of a player. And I actually think if they actually were able to keep him one more year, who knows? Maybe they're the ones hoisting last year's Stanley Cup, but it wasn't meant to be. Anthony, going into the finals, Nate MacKinnon will be the most electrifying player in these finals.
Kucherov is really good, but there's something about MacKinnon. He does bring you out of your seat with just how fast he skates and how he moves. I think he's the most dynamic player. So this is easy for me. It's around.
I got to go with you on that one. It's definitely around. Nate MacKinnon is going to be just right there. This guy's got to have a motor. He's going to be determined.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody has said this about him for years. He was never the reason why Colorado couldn't break through the conference finals. He was never the reason why they couldn't make it to the Stanley Cup Finals. But he is the reason why they are here right now. His points per game, sixth all time, and behind two active players. And those two active players play with each other. It's Draisaitl and McDavid. So, I mean, Nate MacKinnon he's worth the price of admission. I can't wait to see this. Going on to the two guys that are injured right now. Nazem Kadri means more to the Avs than Brayden Point means to the Lightning.
Well, it kind of answered this before when I talked to. I think Point returning will mean more, just because he's going to bring a much more offensive depth. Not that Kadri wouldn't do that for Colorado, but I think Colorado, even without him, has enough firepower to really put up a lot of goals and points. I mean, Kadri's great defensively, and having him will help shut down the opposing teams, but I think Brayden Point coming back to the Lightning just really makes him that much more dynamic. So I'm going to go once again. I'm going to go shot here. I'm going to say Shot, and Braden Point means more, if you could say it like that.
I'm gonna go Beer. I think I might be equal on this because there's just times where I look at those two guys. Braden Point, he had a hell of an offensive season against everybody last year. I think it was 10 straight games with a goal last year versus the Islanders and everyone. And then he's been out. And although I think everybody's filled in for him well, their power play has not been as good minus Braden Points.
Mm-hmm.
Not that Corey Perry can't do it or do the role. He only did it for 15 years with Anaheim and won a Hart Trophy doing it. But I mean, I also think Kadri might be one of their centers they use for matchups too. So that's where I'm undecided about this. Hopefully both these guys are healthy and hopefully they're going to be at their best because they might be a huge difference in this series on both teams.
And Anthony, one last point on this. You spelled Point's first name wrong. It's Braden with an E, not an O.
Motherfucker. All right. Well, hold on. Let me get it up at least. Title of my sex tape. And well, at least I got this one right as we're going to move on. John Cooper is the most underrated coach or player in the NHL right now.
Shot. He's not. I don't think he's underrated. I think he gets the credit he deserves for sure. One of the best coaches in the NHL, back-to-back cups. Everyone that speaks of him speaks of how highly regarded of a person he is. Well educated. I think he was a lawyer or an attorney before he actually started coaching. Yeah. No, he's fantastic. I mean, when you talk about best coach, I know you have to talk about Barry Trotz and whatnot, but John Cooper, at this point, how could he not be? He's at the top of the heap.
I mean, I'm actually going to go Beer to this because you're right about this, and there's a couple reasons why I'm going to undo my own argument on this. And by the way, everybody, the answer is on why Anthony's face keeps getting covered is we're supposed to be a threesome up here, so that's what I made my graphics for. I have to try to adjust those. But the thing about Cooper is every year he's never mentioned for a coach of the year. Everybody knows how good he is. He's never won a Jack Adams. How has he never won a Jack Adams award? And that's still boggling to me. But then again, he's the coach of Team Canada. Mm-hmm. He's everybody knows how great of a guy he is and all, but it's just I don't get it, Anthony. He's somebody that's like the least talked about greatness of this era, I think. But that's just me. All right, moving on to John Tortorella and Philly Press will be a match made in hell. For those of you who don't know, and I've seen it in the comments, so you guys already know, Tortorella was offered the Flyers job today or yesterday, late last night, by Kevin Weeks came on and said that. But Tortorella and the Philly Press will be a match made in hell. And I'm using this to describe just how entertaining it's going to be. Anthony, I got to buy around on this.
Definitely around.
There's going to be so much that he's going to have to talk about. First off, he's got to get Rasmus Ristolainen to play defense. And I mean, who knows who they might acquire in the offseason because Philly is just going to be Philly's going to be active. We know this.
Yeah, it's going to be great. I can't wait to hear. It's going to be awesome. I'm looking forward to it.
The one thing we all know, though, is once you hire John Tortorella, your team is better. It is that easy to say. Anthony, your thoughts on this?
No, it's great. His personality kind of fits. He's loud, he's boisterous, he speaks his mind. I can't wait to hear the Torch sound bites again after a game when a reporter asks him a question after a loss. It's great. He's must-see TV. At the root of it, he's a great coach. He's the last coach to take down the Lightning in a playoff series.
That's correct.
The Blue Jackets swept them. he's a good coach. He's definitely a good coach. He demands a lot out of his players. I think it's a good hire for the Flyers.
I think he's definitely what the Flyers need. I was gonna say Philadelphia, and then I chickened out. Starting to say it halfway through. Oops. But he's exactly what the Flyers need. They need somebody that's gonna come in and clean things up. Get these guys skating again, and they will skate through a wall for John Tortorella.
Mm-hmm.
I can tell you that. The best quote ever said about him was when the Rangers hired him in 2009. Marty St. Louis said, the New York Rangers just became a better team today, and they're going to start playing the right way. And that's what Torts does. That's what he expects out of people. Second most active U.S. coach in wins, or U.S. American-born coach in wins. Peter Laviolette, number 1. I almost screwed it up, guys. All right. And our last one for the day, Bruce Cassidy will get Vegas back into cup contention. I give it to you, Mr. LaRocco.
I'm gonna say beer. It's more on McCrimmon, see if he makes the right moves to get the roster in place. But I thought Cassidy got a raw deal in Boston. He even said that when the playoffs ended, he was told that he was safe, and then he goes ahead and gets fired. A couple of weeks later. So thought he got a raw deal. I think he's a good coach. Good move for Vegas. But again, Kelly McCrimmon's got work to do in the offseason to make sure that, Vegas doesn't miss the playoffs again. They're not in the best cap situation, so it's going to be interesting to see what they do. But Vegas is a team that always has their hand in the mix of a player that comes on the market. I don't know how, but they always do. So we'll see what he can put together. But, I mean, if you're picking a coach, I think they made the right choice in Bruce Cassidy.
I'm actually going to buy around on this. I think he's going to be a great fit for them. When you have the pick of the litter, and really Vegas had the pick of the litter as soon as they got rid of Pete DeBoer, that Pete DeBoer made me nervous because I said back in November that Vegas was going to miss the playoffs, and then they did. I also said Pete DeBoer was going to get fired. Then they did. So, and not that I'm relishing in it. I was just happy to be right. I don't wish anybody to be fired, but it's but no, Bruce Cassidy is going to get them playing his way, and they got a hell of a top line, Pacioretty with Stone and Eichel, if that's the line that they decide they want to go with. You're right about that. McCrimmon's going to have his hands full trying to figure it all out, but that's it's going to be good to see Vegas winning again. We'll see about it. They have a lot of holes, defense, everywhere else, how they manage the actual salary cap, because now they can't just hold out everybody for the playoffs. All right, everybody, that was the end of Big Apple Hockey Bar Talk, where we gauge our confidence on NHL topics based on our choice of drink. And again, I want to give a shout out to our new sponsor. Yes, that's right. We sold out because we have to. We're trying to make money. And we got the Manscaped products right over here. You got the ear and nose trimmer right there.
Yes, that's good. Yeah.
They got a lot of great stuff so far. I've been using it and I've been loving it so far. Go to manscaped.com, put in BAH for a promo code, 20% off and free shipping. So we're going to go and take your comments now. Unless, Anthony, you don't have an editorial, right?
No.
Okay. We're going to take your comments now, guys. So where do I say it? There it is. All right.
Braden Point's playing tonight, by the way.
Braden Point is playing tonight. Wow.
Yep. Well, sucks for Colorado, but to beat the best, you got to be the best no matter who's playing. So,
Braden O'Keefe. Jeez. I'm trying to remember which one, Anthony, Justin Taves. I'm trying to remember which one that I had. That Court. No, it was actually a wig that I had from Halloween one year when I dressed up as Link. Vegas is picking Colorado. They're minus 150. How about that?
Telling you, I think Colorado wins, but we'll see. I'm excited to watch the finals, and I know how Ranger fans are feeling right now. You get so close, and the finals come around, and it's hard to swallow. 2 years in a row, I got to experience that heartbreak, and doesn't go away for
what?
a little bit. But
Anthony, a friend of mine walked out to me right as the Rangers lost to the Lightning. And he's a huge Islander fan. And he just says, Mark, I know how this goes. You lose in 7 of them next year. And it's one of those jokes you don't want to hear at the time. It gets funnier the more that I think about it. And so it's also like one of those comments of, is it better to have loved and lost than have never loved at all?
It's like one of those things where, like, when the Lightning beat the Islanders in the bubble, when they met again last year, it's like, oh, what are the chances they beat him again? It's like now it's their time, and so you think this time you have it in the bag, but that clearly wasn't the case. But I don't know. We'll just have to see. If the Lightning go on to win 3 cups, then kudos to them, because that's just an incredible achievement.
I think this is a great idea for us to do during the summer. We're going to make a bingo card, and we're just going to have you guys just I guess either print one up at home or just do whatever. Times that I mispronounce a player or misspell their name, and times Anthony adjusts his hat, or times that Phil loses the Wi-Fi. There's so many of those. We'll figure out how to do that.
Or how many times you spell a guy's name wrong.
Yes, or misspell their name. Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
God, that's embarrassing. The worst was still the worst one overall was misspelling the 4th period, because I thought Pagnotta. I went to the parody account.
Yeah.
So, which
God,
I still, yeah, actually, yeah. And then you can all compare cards at year's end. I gotta get that going. I gotta finish the website. I got so many things on my mind, and I'm still sweating. Jesus, my air conditioning was going crazy yesterday.
Yeah.
It kept on, like, we had the oven was on in the kitchen, so they were cranking it. It felt like an ice box in here, and I love air conditioning, especially on my manscaped balls. But it's just I love air conditioning that. But it was like way too much, and then I went to sleep kind of shivering today, and just I hope none of you ever feel like this. This is terrible. I feel like I just watched Jurassic World Dominion. So,
well, what are we, about a month away from the start of free agency? July 13th.
Yep. And we will be doing our free agent special that day. That'll definitely happen. And
the draft is July 7th. So we're getting close to the action here. Now, as much as I want hockey to keep going, I'm also looking forward to the off season, because it's those week and a half, or week between the draft and free agency. It's very, very well, actually, I should say, from the end of the Stanley Cup Finals to free agency, it's kind of exciting time for a hockey fan. A lot going on. But the flip side, literally after the second day of free agency, everything kind of just dies.
Very rarely does a guy wait till the 3rd day of free agency to sign.
Yeah, the most recent scenario I think of was Suter and Parise. I think got announced on July 5th or July 4th. Other than that, it's the first day, and then some of the second guy, 3rd tier guys sign on, second day, but most everybody, it's the first day of free agency.
And we got lots of stuff that we have planned for the off season. I've gone over them with you before. Obviously, our year in review is always going to be up there. This will be our first year as Big Apple Hockey. One of my favorite videos was the assembling of all things Rangers that is coming into this right now. Anthony, let's go with what Rick said right now. Would you trade Kakko for a mid-first round pick right now? My short answer, by the way, is no. I don't think this draft is that deep.
I'm not high on Kakko. I don't think he's ever going to live up to being the second overall pick. So with that said, a mid-first round pick, I'm going to say no to that as well, because a mid-first round pick, you're talking about a guy that has, there's no guarantee he's going to be better than what Kakko is going to be. So to that, I say no. If your goal is to get another first round pick and then, package it with other stuff, then maybe. But otherwise, no, I wouldn't trade Kakko for a mid-first round pick. And this is from a guy who doesn't really particularly like Kakko. So
who's going to be the better player in the end, Kaapo Kakko or Kirby Dach?
Kirby Dach.
Definitely?
Yeah, I think so.
All right. Well, because again, Kakko, look, the guy was number 1 in Central Scouting. I watched a video today that I have to share with you guys later and rip on it, because there was a video about the 2012 draft that was done. And look, Edmonton was taking Nail Yakupov. There was no way around that. When Central Scouting says somebody's the best, bar none, and there's no one close. I remember the night that they won the lottery, and all they said on CBC was, so they're getting Nail Yakupov now, right? Or TSN. I forget which one it was. But yeah, they got TSN. But I think actually, by the way, Core, I think the guy that's going to get him a center is going to be Kravtsov. Maybe you package Kravtsov and Lundqvist together and you end up getting something.
Yeah, but
I don't think Kravtsov will ever play for the New York Rangers.
But how much value do they have? Kravtsov hasn't proved anything at the NHL level, and Nils Lundqvist, hasn't either. He didn't.
Yeah, but you're not trading him for Mark Scheifele.
What?
Like, you're not trading him for Mark Scheifele. You don't need a big time center.
Yeah, sure. But I'm saying you're not getting some high end elite second line center. Well, if you're elite, probably but you know what I'm saying. You're not getting an elite player for Kravtsov and Nils Lundqvist. It's just not happening.
Yeah, and Mike's got this one that he said, this will never happen, by the way. We need a new salary structure, something more like MLB with a luxury tax. So teams with no income taxes don't have as much of an advantage. Well, there's only really 3 of them. I'm sorry, 3 organizations that have that advantage, Dallas and both Florida teams. But as opposed to, say, the Montreal and the Rangers, who are in high tax situations, and the California teams. But it'll never happen, because they want a hard cap. That's what they want. They don't even want to do a soft cap, so you can go over that. What are the chances a team signs Kakko to an offer sheet? The Rangers can't and won't match. Think Kotkaniemi.
Yeah, Anthony. You know what? It's true. Kotkaniemi hasn't, like Kakko, hasn't really proved a whole lot yet either. But the difference there is there was the history between Carolina and Montreal. I think that's the main if that history wasn't there, I truly don't believe the Hurricanes would have offer sheeted Kotkaniemi. So I don't see a team going out of their way to offer sheet Kakko at this point. Could it happen? Sure. But I don't see it as of right now.
Arman, I don't know about this one, only because Strome is gone. We know that. Petrano's gone, money reasons. You're right about that. Mott, I think, stays because he's going to be affordable. I think Andrew Kopp is going to look. We talked about this before. Brian Rust's contract is actually going to help the Rangers negotiate with Andrew Kopp, but the fact that he's a center might end up pricing him out, and then he ends up in, say, I keep saying it, and a lot of people said it too, Detroit. That's just where I'm looking.
I would personally, I think the Rangers should get Vinny Trocheck as a center over Kopp or Strome. That's my personal opinion.
That is not a bad opinion, Anthony.
I think Kopp's more suited as a really strong third line center. And if they re-sign him, with what they're going to pay him, it's going to be the second line center. And I think that Trocheck is a much better option as a second line center than Kopp is. So that's what I think they should do, but I have a feeling that they're going to keep Kopp. But, well, I guess we'll have to see.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're going to see about that soon enough. Richie, just to answer this question for you, why would you trade Kakko for Buchnevich? Or sorry, would you trade Kakko for Buchnevich? 30 goals plus 30. I would trade Panarin for Buch because, again, of course, the salary cap is going to come into play on this one. I know you would trade Panarin for Buch, but that's also because Buch was your guy. Buch also, I believe, has no trade protection, and Panarin has a full no trade protection. So it's just not going to happen. But, I mean, by the way, if you're St. Louis, you take that deal any day of the week. So Vegas has no state income tax as well. All right. Thank you very much. I forgot about that. I think Kakko was just curses with multiple COVIDs and then injury. We'll see about that.
I think the worst scenario for the Rangers would be to re-sign Ryan Strome. I think that would be a terrible decision.
100%. 110%. I can't say this. And look, again, I try not to let my fandom get in the way of my opinions, but this is still my opinion as a writer on here and a host. So I'm not even being impartial. But if Ryan Strome is the answer, what the hell is the question? Honestly, what does he really give the New York Rangers that no one else can give?
You're not winning a Stanley Cup with Ryan Strome as your second line center. It's just I just don't see it. I don't see it.
He's a fly-by offensive player. He's adequate at best, if physically speaking. He doesn't exactly have a great wrist shot. He doesn't pass the puck particularly well. He takes offensive zone penalties. I'm killing his contract right now as far as his negotiating power. I'm sorry, Ryan, but I'd have Dylan Strome before I'd have Ryan Strome. So move on from that.
Yeah.
Hard cap is a team destroyer that favors teams with no income taxes. That's right. Which one of the deep, we'll go with what Tommy's question is. Which one of the deep prospects do you think has the most promise going forward on this team, Nils, Jones, or Robinson?
Well, it's tough because I know Nils was, when we were doing off season, mainly Statboy Steven, but a lot of we're really hyping Nils Lundqvist, like expecting him to come in right away with the way some of you guys were talking about him and Calder Trophy and all this stuff. That's why you really got to pump the brakes sometimes. I know in your heart you want to, but I didn't see it from him in his cup of tea in the NHL level. And even in the AHL, he didn't exactly tear it up. So I'm not sure about him. I'm actually going to go off the board and say Robertson, truthfully. But we'll see. We'll see how they continue to develop in the offseason. Because, obviously there's still so much time for them to develop and, become an everyday defender in this league. But right now, my gut says Robertson.
I don't think that's off the board that much. I'm going to go with Robertson because he fits what this team might need. The other two guys might have a little bit more trade value that's in there. And the other thing to kind of go with that, going what you're saying before, a lot of us just were high on Nils Lundqvist. You look at his scouting highlights. Oh my God, what this kid could look like. And he was sort of the promise that was there. But when you have Adam Fox in place, and so that immediately takes away power play 1. And his 1 goal, by the way, was on power play 2. I was there for that. So that was a bullet. He just released it. This kid's got pure talent. I just don't see how the Rangers don't use him to improve their forward unit and at least rescue a little bit of that Ryan McDonagh trade, which has been terrible. So that trade's been awful. Let me see what Core's got here. We're excited that he wants to be here, and we think the world of him, both on and off the ice. Drury on Strome. They're all going to say nice things about each other. Not everybody is Garrett Cole, who put on the hat and then said, I'm no longer an employee of the Houston Astros. So, but they did hug him. Him and Panarin, I think, hugged after the game Saturday night. But so Anthony, I don't see any way the Rangers keep Ryan Strome.
I would hope not, but you just don't know. I mean, if Drury feels that he can't get a fair trade for a second line center that's going to benefit his team in the short term and the long term, maybe he feels that Ryan Strome is the best option because he has that chemistry with Artemi Panarin. I think it would be the wrong choice, but I mean, we'll see which way it goes.
You know a great chemistry with Artemi Panarin? Patrick Kane. Do you know a great chemistry with Artemi Panarin? Matt Duchene. And it wasn't just because I was trying to rhyme. You know a great chemistry with Artemi Panarin? Artem Anisimov. How about this? I could be on a line with Artemi Panarin and have 25 goals in the NHL. So, and I'm 44, everybody. That's not exactly young. So there's a lot of it where, like, the Rangers need to lower their costs because they need to start. They got guys that they're going to have to pay soon. You're going to have to pay Keandre Miller. You're going to have to pay Alexei Lafreniere. You got to pay Kakko. Got to think about the future. It's just now. And you know what? Filipino's going to come up before all those guys. Well, wait. I think his contract is good. So
being able to get rid of Trouba right now would be a godsend for them because that's $8 million off their cap. And I think he was hard on what ended up being the game winner. Stamkos' second goal. He got smoked by Stamkos going down that side. He took a lot of bad penalties. And I hate to say, Mark, it's looking like that 150-point year in Winnipeg was just an aberration because he doesn't really look like he has any offensive talent other than a hard shot. So. If they can get rid of Trouba, that would be fantastic. Panarin, now listen, if I was a Ranger fan, I'd be furious at Panarin with his effort.
We're going to find out there's a big injury.
And kind of how he looked. He loafed, and I'd be mad about it, but I wouldn't be looking to move Panarin. He's still an elite offensive player. And moving him already after, just signing him a couple of years ago isn't the best look, but I get what you're saying, though. Obviously, moving guys with cap hits like him, $8 and $11 million, helps long term. But right now, I don't think it's realistic. I think the Rangers might have to do what the Islanders did and wait a couple of years till the term left on Trouba's contract dwindles a little bit, and then no movement, I think, changes, and that's the time to move him. But I think you're stuck with him for at least the next 2 years.
Let me go further into this question, and the no move clauses modify after 2024 season on both him and Chris Kreider. And my answer on all that is they're not waiving their no trade clauses. There's no chance. We can talk about it. We can talk about it as fans. Put it into this situation. You're in a house that's rebuilding. The house is now pretty much built, and your wife says, "Hey, get out, move out." You're gonna say no. You're gonna squat. It's just like that. There's the terrible metaphor. Oh my God, that was a terrible metaphor. But it's just when they came to rebuilding teams, and now that the Rangers are good, and part of it is because of Artemi Panarin. And I hate to say it, they put up a stat about the most blocked shots and the most hits in the playoffs came from who? Jacob Trouba. Does Trouba need to be better? Hell yeah. And we talked about that goal that Stamkos scored. And, he just blew right past him. All the Islander fans at the bar were very happy as soon as that happened. We weren't even done celebrating the goal, and then suddenly, bang. All right, see you next season.
That hurts. Right. That hurts. Actually, I kind of compared the situations. I don't know what was worse, as an Islander fan, losing 1-0 in Game 7 on a shorthanded goal nonetheless, or the Rangers tying the game, looking like you have life, only for 21 seconds for Tampa Bay to come down and score. I think they're both equally as bad.
Again, Anthony, I can't help but say this. Just that's the mental aspects of Tampa. That is why they are right now 2-time Stanley Cup champions, and I'm saying in 6, 3-time Stanley Cup champions come 2 weeks from now. But this team, the Rangers got the goal from Vetrano, and it came out of nowhere. And hell, you scored on Vasilevsky in a closeout game.
Yeah.
And you saved those pucks. Them in Toronto had both of them.
Richard, obviously I respect.
Oh, I never said major asset.
I respect your opinion, but I don't know. I mean, to try to look at it objectively, he takes bad penalties. Numerous times throughout the course of the year in the playoffs, he's gotten beat, and he looked like he didn't exactly hustle to get back. And he makes $8 million. $8 million for a defenseman who is not a top producing defenseman, or not a Jacob Slavin or Adam Pelech shutdown defenseman, is just way too much. He is not a major asset to your team. And if the Rangers traded him, they would be so much better off, because their cap situation improves immensely, and they could fill the role with a cheaper defenseman who could do what he does at half the cost. Jacob Trouba is far from a major asset to that team.
No, but that's what he was saying. Well, I think he was saying I described him as a major asset. I don't think I did, but Jacob Trouba, as soon as he signed that contract, before the ink was even dry, his role changed. I've said this before. I'll say it again. I think he was power play 1 quarterback for a month. And then D'Angelo got it. And then it went to Fox. Then back to D'Angelo. There's just, yeah. And Fox went on to win a Norris Trophy. Fox, look, it's kind of funny as you're describing Jacob Trouba taking bad penalties, getting beat, not as good as what people make him out to be. That reminds me of Ryan Strome. I'm going to keep going back to this. Sorry. I mean, Ryan Strome's going to punch me in the face one day when I meet him. But it's my first, I guess my first comment would be, gee, I wish I was an open net so you would have missed.
And I understand he says it's more than about points. It absolutely is more than about points. But my point is, he's not exact for $8 million. He's not exactly playing at an elite shutdown level either. He makes too many mistakes. And as you saw in the Stamkos goal, he easily gets burnt too much. It's just the way it is. I think they'd be better off. I think they'd be better off without him.
Oh, okay. He was saying it's a major asset, so my bad on that one. But by the way, I'm going to end the poll here. Anthony, Colorado Avalanche, 57% of people are saying the Avalanche are going to win this series. Wow.
Go Avs, go.
57%. I mean, they got the talent to do it. Question is, do they have it in goal? But I think one of the guys just said it just now. I want to go back up and say it. I was watching some of the mid-season. Our man, first up, by the way, thank you for watching some of the mid-season chats. But a lot of people were down on K'Andre Miller. And Phil concluded. He was right there. But you got to look at K'Andre Miller. He made a huge jump from St. Patrick's Day to just a week after the trade deadline. That guy just improved. He is going to be a stud. And they're going to have to pay him too. So can't do any stupid things like sign Ryan Strome to an 8-year, $7 million deal. Or Ryan Strome at all. But God, everything hurts right now. I'm gonna be resting after this. Yeah, Everest is right there with you, 100%, Anthony. And Tommy, you're right about that. I'd like to see Miller with Schneider. But I think we got a little bit too much on playing too many rookies. You can't have Jones and Robinson together. They're 2 rookies. They'll just be there. So I don't know. Again, that's not a bad pairing to put that one in. We'll see about that one. I didn't read any of these, which, by the way, I'm always reading them because I immediately take this and throw it on the audio. But since we got David's last one, since we're not getting rid of Trouba, it'll be better. It'll be criminal if we don't see a Jones and Snyder pairing. I'm going for 2 years, 2 or 3 years, not next
What are
year.
what are your thoughts on the draft in relation to the Devils possibly trading that second overall pick?
I think it's worth the Devils for trading the pick. I think the one thing is they're kind of doing this in not exactly the deepest year. The Devils, I think, have enough assets to sort of go with it right now. But I also look at them and like, is Lindy Ruff really the answer at coach? And especially with this crop of coaches right now,
I think they're going to try to give him another year with maybe a better goaltending situation and see how he does. Because again, theoretically, if they trade that second overall pick in a package for Alex DeBrincat, and then they get a better goalie, they'll be a lot better of a team next season.
I agree with that 100%. And I actually liked Mackenzie Blackwood. I thought he was a pretty good goalie, but he was a shell of himself last year. And I don't know how much of it had to do with the COVID controversies or whatever.
He can't stay healthy.
He just can't.
And even when he was healthy, he really played at a subpar level. So I think they're going to be better off moving on. This is a lot of people. A lot of people have been confused as to why it seems like DeBrincat's going to be a lock to be traded, and it's because, from what I gather, it's a couple of reasons. One, he's due a $9 million qualifying offer this coming off season, and I guess the Blackhawks feel that paying him $9 million at this stage, when they're still going to be a rebuilding team for a couple more years, is counterproductive. And they feel, though, by the time they are going to be ready to compete, he's going to be 3 or 4 years older. And they feel that they can get the most value for him right now. Which, when you explain it that way, I guess it does make a little bit of sense. Because, again, if you can get the second overall pick for DeBrincat right now, and you get either Shane Wright or the Slovakian Slavovsky,
who looks like he's going to be a pretty good player.
Yeah, then I think you might have to do that. So,
by the way, how many times could the Devils win the lottery?
Yeah, well, you could say the same thing about the Rangers,
or the Edmonton Oilers.
Yeah, but DeBrincat. But going back to DeBrincat, he's aside from really no aside from him. He definitely is the most sought after trade chip right now this offseason. He's the number one prize. And unfortunately, there's really no team that could compete with the Devils' offer if that's really what they put forth. I mean, you can't really compete with a second overall pick. I mean, obviously there are other teams that can offer players, but realistically, no one's really going to be able to beat that. So,
I'm going to highlight this one from Tommy, which is, should the Rangers package their second round picks and move up into the 15 to 25 range? It depends if you see a player that you're really interested in, but I'll tell you what, they got almost too many young players right now. Just go with what you got. Most of the guys that they got, they were already here. Hold off unless there's like this really isn't that deep of a draft, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, if they identify a player that they want, then sure, go ahead and do it. But other than that, I don't know, might be better to just stand pat.
And this is a team that's passed on centers for the last ever.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, unless you have somebody that really kind of gets you on that one. Oh, I am hitting a wall, something bad. So we're going to do about maybe 5 more minutes. I don't know what the hell I ate yesterday, but it's killing me. All right.
This is going to be a important off season for the Islanders. I'm looking forward to seeing the moves that they pull off. They're heavily going to be in the mix with Johnny Gaudreau. if he reaches unrestricted free agency. Seems like they would be with Philip Forsberg, but everything I keep hearing about Forsberg, it seems like he may re-sign in Nashville. So I don't know if he's necessarily going to be an option. But Gaudreau and Fiala, Fiala's obviously through trade, but those got to be the top options right now.
I think you kind of hit your nail on the head with the Islanders right now because, I mean, well, first off, I should give Lou a call and see what his plans are because he's definitely not going to be doing that. But with the Islanders, if they go for the big free agents and with Gaudreau and Forsberg, I always want to add the L because of Peter Forsberg, but unfortunately did not. And Rich, by the way, I'm getting to your comment in a minute because I agree with you 100% on that. The thing about the Islanders is how much of their identity are they changing right now? Are they still going to be that defense first type of team? Are they going to try to open it up? I don't really like that. If I'm the Islanders, because although you know what, Ilya Sorokin can handle it. I think he's one of those goalies that the more shots he gets, the better he gets into the game. But
I mean, Lane Lambert said that one thing's not going to change, that they're going to be really hard to play against. But there are definitely going to be some aspects of Barry Trotz's game that he keeps for sure. But I think he also is going to open it up a little bit to get more offense. I think he recognizes that the team needs their creative players to have some more freedom. So I think for sure that they're going to be a more offensive team next year.
Well, let me first say this with Rich right now on the Rangers. And also I'm going to talk about that rebuild very quick on how it turned on a dime. But this is why you're right. The Rangers have to stop chasing expensive players. I know the Mark Scheifele's, everybody else, they're going to need that cap space because they identified they're a top-heavy team. That's what you have to do. You have to get your Nick Pauls. You have to get your Braden Point's making some coin down there in Tampa. There's so many guys that they got to get. You got to fill out depth everywhere. Depth. It's either that or you're going to be like the Islanders who spread the money out pretty evenly throughout the team. But, I mean, right now, Kyle Palmieri's not living up to that contract. Brock Nelson looks like a bargain, by the way, right now, on the other hand. So yes. There's a lot of that. And it's just, how are you managing the cap? And Lou obviously wants to spend it on depth. And Drury wants to spend it on stars. That's why you're right about this. Ottman is a cheap wing coming in at an ELC. And Ottman might not even be here the entire time. But what about Will Cooley? There's other guys that might get in there into that lineup. But by the way, David, that's just funny right there. But rebuilds could turn on a dime. Anthony, I'm going to say this about this. The Rangers rebuild turned on. They got Kakko. They signed Panarin. They brought up Shesterkin, who they already had. And then I'll still put Jacob Trouba on that list of reasons why they were successful. But that's the reason why. I mean, can you imagine that rebuilds like that don't happen in Buffalo?
Yeah. THG here. Yeah. I think that this is, I mean, really, Lou has really only tried to get the big fish once. And that was
Ilya Kovalchuk?
No. Well, with the Islanders.
Oh, okay.
It was the year that Artemi Panarin was a free agent. Other than that, since Panarin's been a free agent, there hasn't really been a guy like him that's been available that he's really has gone for. So I think this year is different. I mean, you got Philip Forsberg, you got Johnny Gaudreau. To a lesser level, you have Kevin Fiala available through trade. You have Alex DeBrincat. So if this is the year that Lou wants to try for that big fish again, then go for it because it's a great opportunity. So I think he recognizes that the team needs more scoring, and Barzell could really use a a good running mate to play with. So, Mark, you better believe come 7/13 at noon, I got to think that if he's still unsigned, that, Gaudreau is going to hear a knock on his door, and it's going to be a Brinks truck with Lou's face on the back of it.
And I have to agree with you on that one. The first thing Lou would say is sign with the New York Islanders. The second thing he said is, why is this asshole calling me again? So it's the, by the way, David, yes, Station Burrito. You guys are coming up with some good ones of these on what I possibly ate last night. I still don't even know. But yeah, you gotta believe that. Yeah, the Flyers are right there, but why wouldn't the Islanders make sense for Gaudreau? That's the thing I would have to say.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta think they check a lot of boxes on his list. It's back in the metropolitan area, brand new building, great front office with Lou at the helm. Team just came off back-to-back conference finals appearances. So I mean, Matt Barzal, elite center to play with.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think they check a lot of boxes. So I hope he makes it there. I hope he makes it unrestricted free agency. So we'll see.
Yeah, I kind of feel like the Futurama episode of Philip J. Fry right now when he ate the gas station egg sandwich. Now, by the way, that's what THG is bringing up right here. If they whiff on him, I think they pivot and go after Tarasenko.
If he still wants, out, I'm not. Well, I guess we'll have to see an update on that in the offseason, but I haven't heard anything. I would say more so if he whiffs on that, Kevin Fiala will probably be the prize.
That's a hell of a consolation prize. I can tell you that one.
We'll find out pretty quickly, because I got to think that Fiala is going to be a draft day. There's going to be a draft day trade. So if he's not an Islander, draft comes and grows, Fiala's traded elsewhere. That leads me to believe that Lou is going to really go for Gaudreau or Forsberg at that point.
By the way, where's the Islanders drafting? They're drafting at 9? 13th. So a mid-level first-round draft pick and a weak draft. What else do you think they would have to give up in order to get that? Or Fiala's unsigned right now, right?
Yeah, he's an RFA. Yeah.
They might not even have to give up their first-round pick.
Speculation is maybe Ratu and a first.
Well, first, I guess you have to send that contract to Core first, see if he'll be the dress rehearsal. People tell me I look like Johnny Gaudreau. So outside of him being really cool, but just for the sake of saving me, I pray he doesn't go to the Islanders. Well, here's the thing. The Metro Division is loaded with talent. And you got to think the most interesting offseason when we eventually cover them. We're all going to be doing season reviews and previews on BigAppleHockeyPodcast.com. But it's I got to say the Pittsburgh Penguins interest me the most. And then the other part is, what about the Washington Capitals? The Washington Capitals got a lot of guys on, like maybe Nick Backstrom. Maybe Nick Backstrom goes on LTIR because he's just had so many injuries. And, maybe they go after and try to court Evgeny Malkin to play with Alexander Ovechkin for 1 year. But then again, there's a lot of people that think he'll go to the Detroit Red Wings because he wanted to always go to the Detroit Red Wings. I wonder what Pittsburgh is going to be. And you got a good architect with Burke and Hextall. I'm still going to say Hextall. I group him in there. I liked what he had with the Flyers, but still.
Well, the Penguins re-signed Malkin and Letang. They're not really going to be that interesting because that's really all their money.
They re-signed. Oh, you said if they re-sign him.
If they re-sign Malkin and Letang, Malkin, then they don't have really much. But if Malkin and Letang go elsewhere, then they're up for something because then they have a decent amount of cap space. And they could go after Johnny Gaudreau or someone else for that matter. So we'll see. But I think Vinny Trocheck, hometown kid, I think he could be on the radar if Malkin doesn't go back there.
God, that would be terrible for a lot of teams in the Eastern Conference and in the Metro Division if Trocheck goes over there. That guy's one hell of a player. But what about the Carolina Hurricanes and all their free agents that they got that are going to be going?
Yeah, Niederreiter, Trocheck. They're poised to lose something. I mean, D'Angelo is an RFA, so they have some decisions to make. But, I mean, even if those guys left, I think they're good enough where they could still be a really good team. All
right. Hey, guys, we're at 2 o'clock right now, and unfortunately, I'm running on fumes. That gas station sushi is not going down very well. Got a huge headache on that one. Thanks for joining us today on the Stanley Cup preview. We are going to have a guest next week. We were hoping to have a guest this week, but we got some big news as far as like guests and stuff like that going on. Obviously, go check out Manscaped. Go use our discount code. Go and get 20% off and free shipping and shave your balls. But just don't be a blonde. That's. I mean, well, like I was. I mean, that's what I was trying to say. You can be a blonde. Anybody can be a blonde. It's all right. It's totally fine. I would love to stick 10 more minutes, David, but don't worry. We're going to be back on again soon enough. We're going to do some recaps, at least some videos recapping the finals. They might be recorded to keep them short. Those end up always getting more views. We have the long form format, but it works.
We should all do our free agent predictions for players too.
Yeah, we're gonna have to get them all down. There's a lot of good free agents that are going to be out there.
We should do that. It's a month away. We should do that soon. Predict all where the free agents are going to go.
Probably during our draft coverage, and I'm gonna have to get on that.
Anthony, Corey, the guest is not Lou, but it is a recently retired goalie that should be coming on with us next week if all goes well.
A very prominent name in USA hockey. Yeah. So, guys, again, thank you very much, everybody, for joining us today. And we are going to get going. I'm going to go lay down and beg for the sweet release of death. Anthony, what's your last words for the day?
Enjoy game 1 tonight, and let's go Avs.
All right. Everybody take care. Have a great night.